What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Just Thoughts podcast. My name is Cole Graham. As you guys can see, Gabe Baltier is not with me today, but not to worry, guys. I have a very special episode planned for you, and we're going to go ahead and jump right into it because Gabe's not here. There's no one for me to talk to other than myself and this camera, which is very unique for myself because this is the first time I've ever done a solo podcast, but hopefully you guys enjoy. And today's topic, if you guys haven't already seen the title, is how to deal with rejection. And the reason why I feel that this is a good podcast episode is because everyone's going to deal with rejection, whether that's from a job, from a future girlfriend or boyfriend, or maybe a current girlfriend or boyfriend, or anything like that. In sports, you're going to be rejected. In life in general, you're going to face rejection. And that's why I feel like this is a very impactful episode because everyone's going to deal with this. I've dealt with this myself, and I'll get into that in a little bit. Actually, we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. I have dealt with rejection in the form of trying to ask people on a date, trying to get into schools. I've tried to get jobs. I have tried to just do all kinds of things. And no matter what, when you get rejected, it's going to hurt because obviously the reason why you're getting rejected is because you put yourself out there in the first place. And I'm here to tell you that even though rejection sucks, do not stop putting yourself out there, because when you put yourself out there, that's showing that you have confidence in yourself and that you have a strong desire to get that job, to hopefully go on a date with this person, to get into the school that you've always wanted to get into. And yes, rejection is going to hurt. It's going to sting for a while, but eventually you could still get that thing that you're wanting, or you could still overcome that challenge. And the reason why rejection sucks is because nobody likes to be told no. Nobody likes to be shunned from a club or from like the inner circle. And yes, that's going to suck. Yes, it's going to sting. But trust me, it's going to all work out. And an example of when I have actually had to remove someone from a club or reject them from a club, as I've mentioned before, I'm the president of the club baseball team at Cal State Fullerton. That means that I'm in charge of our roster. And the league that we play in, they say, okay, 32 people, that's the maximum you guys are allowed to have on your roster moving into the spring. But obviously, if you guys have ever played baseball before or any kind of sports, I mean, maybe not football. Football, you can have a lot of people on the team, but baseball for sure, 32 people is a lot of people. There can only be 9 people on the field at one time. So having to deal with 32 people on the bench, they're all paying the same amount to play. They're all wanting to play because otherwise, why would they be there? And having 32 people, it makes it really hard on me to turn to someone and say, hey, I can't get you in today. I can't put you on the field because I just have too many people today. Or we have one of our best teams coming up that we're about to face, and unfortunately, you don't crack the starting 9. It's a really unfortunate circumstance, but that's how sports work, and that's how life works in general, is you sometimes have to face that rejection. And unfortunately, I've had to give out the rejection on some people saying, hey, you're not going to make the team, or hey, you'll make the team for the fall, but you won't stay on our spring roster. And the thing about that is, yes, that sucks for them. That sucks for me to have to do that. And if you're in the shoes of someone who's facing that rejection, that doesn't mean that you're a terrible player. That doesn't mean that, hey, you can't do this job. You're not smart enough to get into this school. You're not smart enough to earn this scholarship, or whatever it may be. It just sometimes means that it's not your time right now, because while I've had to remove some people from the team, that doesn't mean that they can't come back next year and make the team. And obviously, I would love for those people to do that because they're still great ball players. They're still great people, more importantly. And that's what I want to say today is when you face rejection, that doesn't mean that you're a horrible person. That doesn't mean you're less than what you think. That doesn't mean you're less than the person who did get the job or the person who did get in the school. And it's never really okay to compare yourself to the next person or to the person that actually did get what you wanted, because that's just an unfair assessment. You're not going to be able to look at one thing and think, hey, this person got to go on a date with her. I couldn't. And what's that all about? Because I'm whatever, he's whatever, or hey, this person that I know, they got into the school that I wanted to. And I keep going back to the school and the relationship and stuff like that. They're just the easiest to talk about. But when it comes to that, you can't just look at it on the face of it. And it's something that is kind of inexplainable because, yes, you could be smarter than this person. You could have better grades than this person. And you could be better looking than this person, but they could be better at like being a boyfriend or girlfriend, or they could be better at communicating, which is why they actually got on the date because, oh, you didn't respond to them for 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden, who knows what the situation may be. And when things like that happen, you shouldn't just dwell on it. Like, oh man, like I didn't get into the school. I'll never be better than anybody else. I'll never be smart enough to get into a school. I'll never be able to achieve my dreams of yada, yada, yada. Because just because you face one roadblock, that doesn't mean there's not another road. My mom always tells me that there's always more than one way to get somewhere. And obviously she's talking about driving to work or driving to school or driving home or something like that. But I think that could be applied to life in general, because when you face rejection on one street, that doesn't mean you can't make a right at the light and then all of a sudden you come down a different path. And for all you know, that could lead down somewhere better. So if you're just going to be sad about, oh, I didn't get in, oh, this didn't happen for me, oh, this person said no, if you let that negativity win and you let that mindset win of, I was told no, so that means no, you have to just keep pushing forward. And yes, that's easier said than done, because when you get told no, it does kind of take out some energy for you, but that's when you really have to dig deep and find another way, carve another path if there is no other road. Because just because something happens to you, it's not the end of the world. And I know if Gabe were here, he'd be saying the exact same thing, because he has also dealt with rejection in his life, as I'm sure everyone else has. And that's why we have kind of talked about stuff like that, and why this is a good episode is because while he may not be here, we still have faced rejection through our podcast. We face rejection through our friends not wanting to listen to it. We face rejection on platforms by saying people, oh, you guys are just trying to be so-and-so, or you guys are just trying to be like the podcast that I listen to and I've never even heard of them. And that hurts, obviously, to be rejected by people who don't even know us, who haven't even listened to the episode. They're saying, oh no, you guys aren't worthy of my time for me to listen to a 20-minute episode. And yeah, that sucks, but that hasn't stopped us from still putting out, I think we're in like the 40s now for episodes, which is kind of absurd. When we did that first one, I would never imagine we'd be making it to 40. And we have you guys to thank for that. Even though it may be just a few people listening to the episode, which if you guys haven't listened to the last episode, we kind of dove into our podcast a little bit about how much we get from it, how many views we get from it, how many dollar bills we get from it, which the answer is 0, by the way. And yeah, it doesn't stop us from doing what we want to do, because we believe in it and we have fun doing it. And that's a real reason why I think when rejection happens, you shouldn't just stop. Because if we saw those comments saying, hey, you guys suck, hey, you guys are terrible, or if my friends kept telling me, hey, I did listen to it and it's horrible, I hate it. Like, some of my friends did actually tell me that when we were first starting out. They're like, what are you guys even talking about? What is the whole point of this? And honestly, I agreed with them. And I agreed with them the last time we talked about it in the episode, because we just used to talk about anything and we used to goof around. And again, I'm kind of talking about what we talked about in the last episode, but it goes hand in hand with the topic of rejection, which is what we're talking about today, obviously. If I just let that negativity eat me up inside, I would have told Gabe, hey, Gabe, you know what? I've faced rejection too much. Too many people told me no. Too many people told me they don't like the episode. We'd be done. I would have said, you know what? Yeah, I'm having fun doing this episode, or I'm having fun doing the podcast, but I'm over it. Too many people say they don't like it, and it's getting to me. So I'm done. That would suck, and I owe it to myself to keep pushing forward, and I owe it to Gabe, too, to keep pushing forward. And I owe it to you guys who actually do watch us and support us. And I see it on our Instagram. I see it on our TikTok. I see it on our YouTube. I see the comments. I see the likes. I see the views, obviously. And that is a really good thing that I have noticed with myself is I don't let the negativity get to me as much as I used to, and the rejection get to me as much as I used to. Because even back in elementary school, I used to be a little bit of a, for lack of better terms, I used to be a little bit of a hothead. And I'm not afraid to admit that because I've since grown up, I've since matured, and all my friends from back then have seen the growth. They're like, I would not even know that you're the same kid as back then. But obviously, when you're younger, the reason why I reacted that way to some things is because I faced rejection. I faced the people that would say, oh, we don't want you on our team. Oh, you're too small to play basketball with us. Or, oh, you're too whatever. And I let that get to me. I would throw my hat on the ground. I would get into fights from time to time. And obviously, that's not the way to approach things. And obviously, now I won't do that. I won't throw my hat on the ground. I won't get in a fight with somebody because that's just not how you handle things. But when you face rejection like that, and then you grow into learning, hey, just because I'm rejected from this, or just because they say no for this, I can still have fun. I can still live my life. It's not the end of the world. It just means that maybe those people just aren't your friends and they don't care about you, and you have some sort of toxic relationship with them, and you need to cut them off, because if they're not going to see your potential, or they don't care enough to see like, hey, can this guy actually play with us? Or, hey, can this person actually do yada, yada, yada? Then you have the issue of facing rejection from them, and who are they to say anything? Like, I don't know if I really explained that well, but like, do you kind of know what I mean? Like, if these people aren't even smart enough to see your potential, or they're not even smart enough to see if you can do something, and they're saying no, like, they don't even give you a chance. They don't give you a tryout. They don't even see your potential. They don't even see if you can do what you're trying to do or what you're asking them to do with them. And they say no to you. Like, does that kind of make sense? Like, why does it matter what their opinion is of you? If you know that you can play this sport, if you know that you can do this job better than anybody else, if someone says, oh, no, it's okay, we don't need you, why does it matter what they think? Because if you know in your heart, hey, I can do this, I'm prepared, I have worked for this, I know what I'm doing, and what they said is just what they said. It's just words. That doesn't mean that you then say, hey, you know what? Yeah, you know what? They might be right. I can't do this. I'm not as good as I thought I was. Because you still are the person that you thought you were. And you know you are. And I know that I've probably repeated myself 100 times over in this episode because, like I said, this is the first time I've ever done one by myself. But yeah, the reason why rejection is just something that you almost kind of have to just move past, you can't dwell on it too much, is because, like I said with when I was younger, and like I said with if people don't give you the time of day to see that you can do something and they reject you, if you do that with a job and you do that with an application and you don't hear back and you don't get that job that you wanted, that doesn't mean you're not qualified. That doesn't mean you're still not able to do that, because they don't know that you can, and they never saw that you can do it. And honestly, it's their loss. And that's how you have to look at that. You have to look at it as, if I get rejected, it's their loss. Because you know it in your heart, and other people that matter to you and that see your potential, and that they see, hey, this is what this person is all about, and they love and respect you. Who cares about everybody else? If you have a good group around you, if you have the willingness to go out there and put yourself out there again without the fear of getting rejected, you are in a great spot. Because if you can do that, if you can go out and keep trying to get a job, keep trying to get into school, keep trying to get a date with somebody, or maybe not the same person over and over and over and over again. I'm not going to advise that whatsoever. But if you just stop you're never going to get anywhere in life, especially if you're told no. If that's really what ends your pursuit of happiness, being told no, then honestly, there's not much that I can advise you to do, because that's something that you just have to move past. You have to not worry about no. You have to not worry about rejection, because there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is happiness waiting for you. There is that job. There is whatever it is you're searching for. And if you stop when someone tells you no, then you're the reason why you're not going to reach the end of the tunnel. And I'm going to leave it there. This may be a little bit of a shorter episode. There may be lots of cuts, so hopefully not. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of the Just Thoughts podcast. Next week, hopefully Gabe will be joining me again. But in the meantime, if you guys would like to support us, we are on YouTube with our new YouTube page at Just Thoughts Podcast. That's at Just Thoughts Podcast. And I'm not sure if TikTok will still be out when this episode comes out. I'm sure you guys have seen all that. But if it is, we are on TikTok and Instagram at Just Thoughts Pod. That's at Just Thoughts POD. And whatever platform you guys listen to, whether it's Spotify or Apple, please leave us a review. You can follow the show, turn on your notifications, and that way you know when the next episode's coming out. And with that being said, guys, we'll see you guys in the next episode.